Hey, everybody. It is the Blue Ox Running Podcast. It is episode number 26, which is our fourth episode of the Marathon Training Series. Here we go. So today's topic is going to be all about that tune-up race that you might have in the middle of your build-up. So we're right in the middle of training. Let me remind you kind of where we're at here. We do a 6 to 12 week base phase. We do 5 weeks on speed phase. We do 5 weeks on marathon phase, and then 2-week taper. So we are right in the middle. I'm kind of transitioning between speed and marathon phase here. And as of last episode, go back and listen to the previous episodes about how we kind of structure those and what those phases actually mean. It's more of an emphasis on what workouts are testing what skills. And as we got through the speed phase, my long run has been decently long, and I've been doing good speed, and I was coming up on a taper week anyway, not a taper week, really a little bit of a down week. And Eau Claire Marathon weekend was sitting there. It's a fantastic event. It's in our hometown, got to sleep in my own bed. So I jumped in the half marathon, and now I'm kind of spit out the other side here about a week and a half after that race, able to talk through my best tips and tricks for using a race as a workout or having a tune-up race in the middle of your marathon build. This can be very helpful for a couple of reasons, but again, it's not quite a race and it's not quite a workout. It's not perfectly a workout like you would do by yourself on a Wednesday morning. You're going to be pushed a little bit harder than that, but it's not quite, it is a race, but it's not quite like an A race that you're gunning from the start and maybe racing exactly the same way that you would mentally or physically on your most important race day. So let me talk through that just a little bit. I kind of broke up really 3 main takeaways. My biggest 3 takeaways on a tune-up race before I get into how it kind of went for me is that you're going to have a shorter taper. Number one, you're going to have a shorter taper. You do not need to do a 2-week or 3-week taper for these tune-up races. I'm really kind of doing everything that I normally would do in my weekly training. And then again, we talked through on a previous episode number 3, sometimes we'll take a down week. So my down week, just in general, is about 75% of what I normally do, maybe 2/3 or 3/4 of what I normally do on an up week. And so that miniature taper really started for me kind of during or after that Wednesday workout. I had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday of easy running. I still ran, I think, 5 to 7 miles every day, or, right around 40 to 60 minutes for myself. So 5 to 7 miles of easy running, but that's just going to be individual. I ran all the way up until the race, and then I did the race on Sunday. So you're going to have a shorter taper. It more felt like a 5 to 6 day taper for myself instead of a 2-week taper. The number 2 thing to keep in mind for tune-up race tips would be to have a conservative start. So in the context of training for a marathon and doing a half marathon tune-up race, I use that opportunity to really say, hey, I don't really know exactly what kind of shape I'm in. I haven't been really narrowing in on exact splits on all my workouts. So there's a little bit of an unknown factor here, and I want to start a little more conservative. I want to feel good in the start, and I want to finish hard and strong. Really, my only goal and my only mantra throughout the whole day was to finish strong. So I think that's a really good kind of approach, not to get in your head about all these splits that you need to hit. I mean, I had somewhat of an idea that I'd be running a certain range of paces, but once the day unfolds and you see how you're feeling and you see what the weather's doing and you get all these variables that are coming through on a race day, I really just wanted to be able to be feeling strong halfway through, hit the bike path, and then come storming home after the downtown area. So finish strong was my only kind of plan, and I think it's good to keep it kind of open like that. You don't put a lot of pressure on yourself, and the mental part of it is really helpful when you don't have to go, flying from the gun. A lot of people use a half marathon race in a marathon buildup to feel out how marathon pace feels in the beginning. You might start at marathon goal pace and work your way down to half marathon goal pace by the end. That's a very common strategy. I've also done it before where I do a very long warm-up. I do like an 8 or a 10-mile warm-up, which is not required, but you're kind of running a half marathon maybe on kind of a little bit of tired legs, and you're maybe only expecting to do marathon pace for that. So there's a couple ways you could do it, right? I kind of took the approach to run it like a race in the second half and run it like a workout in the first half. Okay. But if you really needed a long day and you wanted, I mean, I got 20 miles on the day. I think I warmed up for 3 miles or 4 miles, 3.5 miles or something, ran 13.1 for the race, and then was running all around downtown. I kind of started my watch on my cool down. I ran, I think, another 3. Oh, I ran home as well. I ran home afterwards because I ran down to the store. I mean, Eau Claire Marathon Weekend is so great. For the tune-up race, I literally slept in my own bed. I didn't even drive my car downtown. I just ran downtown with a little backpack of my shoes in it. I'm fortunate. I have my business downtown, so I got to use the bathroom here, and then I just run to the start line, and off we go. And then I ran home. So I got 20-plus miles in on the day. Really good day. And then my last piece of advice, the concept number 3 to keep in mind as you do a tune-up race is you want everything to go smoothly to where you can resume training. It's not all about that race day. You want to get back to training well. And part of that has to do with how you race. If you're running positive splits, which means you go out too hard and you're suffering in the middle and then you're suffering at the end, and those are harder races to recover from than the ones that you are kind of flying home. So I want to get back to training. I did run the next day, just a few miles, 25 minutes on some sore legs, and got the blood flowing again. My soreness went away in a day and a half, and I'm kind of back on my feet. I did some 400s that week. I kind of resumed normal training because that was my last week of speed. So I believe I did 400s, or I might have did thousands. I was doing a normal workout, I think, by Thursday. So I ran the race on Sunday, got my legs back the next 2 days, did a nice hour 80-minute run or something on Wednesday, I think, and then I knew I could do a little bit of speed. And again, that first workout back, don't put pressure on yourself. I did a fartlek. That's right. I did a fartlek all on feel because I didn't want to go to the track and have these splits that I'm thinking about. So going into the tune-up race and coming out of the tune-up race, I like to kind of keep it a little bit more on feel. And now that I have a tune-up race, a performance with a clock or with a time, with a distance, I can now use that to fine-tune the rest of my training because I kind of know what shape I'm in now. Okay? So those are my best kind of things to keep in mind. You want to keep a shorter taper, you want to have a conservative start, and you want to be able to get back to training as fast as possible. Let me give you a couple ways that a tune-up race is like a workout, and a couple ways that it's like a race, because it's kind of like in between. The best way that it's like a workout is my mentality. I'm very measured in the front half, like we've already talked about, and my expectations. I'm not expecting to go out and PR. I'm not expecting to go out and shock the world with how fast I'm running right now. I have no expectations on going out and running a quote unquote fast time. You kind of have to put your ego aside. And especially this last piece that I call it mind your own business. This is harder for some people than others. Some people can go to races all the time and they don't really, they just like to be out there and get good vibes from the race. And some people, whenever it's race day, they have to go hard. They have to perform. They put a lot of pressure on themselves. And tune-up races can actually be difficult for them mentally. They can be detrimental to them if they don't feel like they're performing well, so to speak, because they're in the middle of a tired block. And sometimes it can actually be a step backwards because then they get discouraged that they didn't run super fast or something like that. But I call it the mind your own business factor. You just have to go out there, especially in the first half of the race, and mind your own business. Like when the race started for me, the front pack, I think 6 guys or 5 guys. They went right up to the start and they were all running in a pack. And normally I would want to run with other people, run in a pack. I ran all by myself for the whole first 2 miles, just knowing the pace I needed to run. I was like 15 seconds back on that front pack early in the race. Eventually I was kind of with someone else and we were in 7th and 8th place. And then eventually I picked off some of those guys and I finished strong like I wanted to, and ended up being in 5th place. So I moved up to 4th and then got passed in the last mile. It was very fun. It felt like a race at the end, and it felt like a workout in the beginning. That's the whole point. So I thought it was a huge success. A couple ways that a tune-up race is like a race is you get to kind of do a final check on your maybe gear and nutrition plan. So, the socks and the shoes that you're going to wear for your big race that's coming up, you need to test those out. You need to make sure that all of your gear, your race day rituals are in order. It does feel like there's a little more nerves than just like waking up and doing a workout by yourself. So there is a race component. It's not all workout. It's not all race. It's kind of in the middle. And then I would say, that final push, it is good to kind of go to the well and push really hard. You're not doing that every single workout. So by the time I got downtown, so the last 3 miles, I was really screaming home hard, like working hard as I possibly could for sure. And you just don't get that stimulus in a workout environment. I had someone ahead of me. I was picking guys off. I had someone chasing behind me. The guy that finished behind me was 6 seconds behind me. I was going all out by the end. The guy that finished ahead of me, I think, was 11 seconds ahead of me. So it was definitely game on by the end, and that's when it feels like a race, right? So tune-up race, I think the biggest and best part of it is just to kind of get the good vibes going. You definitely have the race vibes. You've got people cheering. You've got water stations. You can practice taking water or Gatorade or whatever your nutrition plan is. You've got the race day vibes, and you've walked through it already to where there's going to be no surprises, hopefully, once you get to your A race. So that's today's topic of the day. I know that these podcasts are kind of a little bit shorter, but I'm giving you 10 episodes, right? So next time I come on here, which I think will be next week, actually, I'm going to talk all about that marathon phase. I'm getting into marathon phase. I actually just completed like a threshold workout yesterday. I did 3 by 2 miles at threshold pace. And threshold pace, I'm just kind of keeping in that up-tempo pace where you can still talk in a sentence, that second tier of pacing that we've talked about. But now I can get a little bit more refined. I have a performance. I can take it to a trusted running calculator and get a little bit better ballpark within 5 or 10 seconds exactly of what I want those paces to be. So we're getting more detailed in our training as far as more specific with exactly what pacing is helpful. I'm not just running on feel, although that's important to kind of spot check the central governor, how the brain feels, how the pacing is going. So I'm getting excited. I feel good. The recovery was quick. I based on how I felt yesterday, it very much lines up with my experience at the tune-up race. It gave me good data. And again, you got to take that tune-up race with all things considered. So I was pushing very hard by the end. It was a race kind of effort by the end. So I know that the time that I ran was decent, maybe not what I could have run if it was all out in the beginning, but also Eau Claire Marathon week was a little bit windy. I had a headwind on the whole bike trail. It's a little rolling, honest hills. And so I take that into consideration too when you compare what course and what day did you have your tune-up race on, and what course and what day will you have your A race on. So I'm optimistic. I don't think it was a good day. It was very good temperature. It was in the 40s and 50s, which is perfect, but it wasn't a ideal perfect day with no wind and a flat course. So you got to take all that into consideration. I definitely put on super shoes. I wore the Asics Metaspeed Edge Paris. I've had a previous model of that shoe. I really like it. Fits my foot good. I like the carbon plate. I wore those shoes one time before I raced in them, just to get used to them in a workout. And so, again, I don't work out usually in super shoes, but I did for the race. So all these considerations, you've got to translate into being smart about your training, knowing what data is kind of telling you what, not getting overly excited and not getting overly down on yourself based on these different things. So tune-up races can be very helpful. They are more complicated than people think because people can get discouraged or overly encouraged by them. And I generally kind of want people to do them if it's going to be helpful and if it lines up with the rest of your life and with your job, or, just kind of how it fits into your schedule. It's got to fit in there right. The day before, we worked the expo for 9 hours. I was on my feet all day. A very busy work week, not a lot of sleep. So I'm taking all of that into consideration and looking at the big picture moving forward. I guess something personal about my progress right now and just kind of what I held in my heart those last few miles was it was good to kind of, this was the first race that I ran since my dad has passed. He was definitely on my mind in kind of my hardest, most painful miles at the end there. Just kind of gives you, he's always been at the Eau Claire Marathon weekend, so that was a little bit of a bittersweet thing. My mom was there. My kids were there. We had an employee come down and cheer at the same aid station. Then I met a bunch of other employees and friends out at the beer garden, watched Parker finish, watched our friend that's 75 years old finish her first marathon in 10 years. Like, once again, tune-up races can be helpful for your training, but it was, by the end of the day, it was all about those race day vibes. Super fortunate that we have a great organization like Eau Claire Marathon in town here. And man, it's just, you shouldn't take those days for granted, regardless if it's your A race or, you're trying to perform, whatever that means, like being able to wake up, get your shoes on, get moving, and even just being out there is a grace. Tons of gratitude is owed to that, and it's not every day, it's not every person that can get out there and do it. So I don't take it for granted, and I hope you find these podcasts encouraging. I hope you take little nuggets from them. Once again, I'm kind of in the sticky note business here. Not a lot of visualization, visual cues today, but I've got my sticky note. I'm marching through marathon training. I'm going to give you a whole podcast next episode all about specific marathon workouts and how I'm shifting my training to more volume, a little bit more volume in the workouts themselves, and what that pacing is going to be. But until next time, stay motivated out there. The weather is fantastic. The weather is great. It is definitely time to reap the benefits of your winter training into spring. And I will see you on the flip side. Goodbye. By the way, see you on the flip side is such a dad saying. I'm sorry I said that. I just should say, I love you, everybody. Have a good day. I'll see you next time.
Fast.